into a blog, so the blog ends up on our website. And if anybody has, I'm trying to, let's just go through it first. Let's just get started and get into it. So then the agenda tonight is we're going to do a quick review of kind of the recent developments. So this is like almost everything that I do is OpenAI. We do kind of stray into Claude and a few things from time to time and Llama, but most of what we do is all still OpenAI. So there's been like the 12 days of Shipmas on OpenAI. So I don't know if you're tracking it, but they're releasing something new for 12 days, like an advent calendar. And they've had some great stuff. Some of it's kind of like meh, but some of it is really interesting. The obvious one being Sora. So Sora is now public. So I was thinking I might next month might do something on Sora, but it doesn't have an API yet. It's still just the ChatGPT interface. So I don't know. We'll see. And if anybody has any huge need that they want to have me look into, I can look into it too as well. I might do something on real time because I'm always interested in language learning, and real time is the best language learning app out there, but it was so hugely expensive that it was not practical. It would kind of cost you, for half an hour of conversation, you could basically hire somebody, native language speaker, for the same amount of money that it would cost for OpenAI, but they've just dropped the price significantly as part of their 12 days of Shipmas. So we might revisit that again. So then today, what we're going to do is look at some board games. Okay, let me just get this person. Yeah, if my screen disappears at all, which I have a habit of doing because I'm lame that way, just let me know, and I'll take care of it. Okay, and this is board games. We're gonna do board games because it's the holidays, so I thought it'd be a good time to do that. Did want to say OpenAI, just highlight the main things. Like there's something new every day, but like today they have a 1-800 number, so some days are better than others. So Sora, which is the video generation, which looks super cool. It's still pretty limited. I think it's it's only like 5, 10, 15 seconds. I think if you're paying the $200 a month, you can get a much better video, but for the $20, not so much. Projects is great, so you can start to organize your stuff because it just gets so annoying with all the stuff that's going on within OpenAI. If you use it on a daily basis, trying to organize stuff is just a nightmare. So Projects is great. I stole that from Claude. I'm glad they did. It's a good idea. The other huge major thing that happened was the real-time API price decrease. So like I said, if you were having a conversation with the real-time API, it was going to cost you $5 or $10 for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, if you use the GPT-4 Mini, I think it's 10 times less. So that's great. We're starting to get good prices. And then I've been using the Python SDK forever. So now there's a new SDKs for Go and for Java, which I think is pretty cool. And then I think we're only at day 9 or 10, so there's a few more days to go. So maybe the last 2 days, hopefully they'll do some of their big announcements. There's maybe there's a music thing coming out. Oh yeah, and if you are into the real-time API, I forgot to mention there's a WebRTC interface for that as well. So that opens up some really good possibilities to be able to have a voice connection, a Siri type app talking to real-time API. I think that's cool. And then we're up to 315 members last I checked, which is great. And if anybody wants me, like I said, to do anything next month, let me know. So I'm going to do 4 different things. I'm going to do Wordle. I'm going to do Sudoku. Chess is the one that is the best example, I think, so far. And then the last one is Scrabble. So I'm trying to do a Scrabble game. I haven't quite got it where I think it needs to get to, but it's good. It's a good way of showing how to generate this stuff. So most of what I've done is I've just basically asked ChatGPT to generate the code. So the first one is Wordle. So basically it works the way it is. The way you play it is you have to guess a 5-letter word. You got 6 attempts, and you get feedback on the letters. So if you ask for something, if I put in cheat and it tells me there's an E in the letter I'm trying to guess, but if it's yellow, it means it's in the wrong position. If it is green, it's in the right position. So then you guess apple, and then you kind of get it in the third one that it's melon. So let me just show you what the code is for that and how I figured that out. So it really is as simple as this. Create a Flask app for a Wordle game. And it's Flask. I always use Flask because you can use Django or you can use TypeScript, whatever you want, whatever you're most comfortable with. Whatever you have a little bit of experience in. So if you've written a couple of apps, and like what I do is we use it all the time for college. For teaching is just using Flask and Python. It's very, very, very light, so it's just a great way. So I just asked it to say, okay, create this for me. I will tell you that the first time, so you need two things for Flask. You need the Python code, and then you need so this is basically, we have a route, which is the index.html page. So we need to have a HTML page too as well. And this is all the code that it's generating for me. We have a reset if you want to start it again. So then I need the HTML. So it does some really basic CSS stuff. And the other thing you got to remember is that if you do this twice, it's going to give you different results each time. So it's very much non-deterministic. So sometimes it will work and sometimes it will not work. In this case, a lot of what will happen is you'll find out that there are weird dependency issues in whatever you're using for Python, because the version that ChatGPT was trained on is 2 years old, or certainly 18 months old. So then you're going to find that when you try to run it in real life, that stuff doesn't work because Python has moved on. You run different versions of the libraries and stuff like that, so it won't work. So you have to basically kick it a few times to get it to do what you want to do. So if I go to VS Code, so basically all that I've done is I've just copied the same code. I always do it in my own environment just because of the kind of trying to limit the dependency issues. So Flask is, you got a templates folder, you put the index file into your templates folder. It's really just cut and paste. You take the app.py. So basically what we're doing is we have these 5-letter words. What is that? 7 words. We change it later to have hundreds of words, but basically we're just going to start off with 5 words. This code is all up online. I'll send you the resources in a second. And then basically what we do is we have this. So maybe if I start again. So it doesn't like cheat. I guess I've already done this one. There's my chess game. Oh, it's remembering everything. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so that's another thing I'll have to do. So then basically what I would do is I would go back to my Flask and say, okay, for some reason this is remembering it because it's in a cookie. So I'm sure if I go to an incognito window and do the same thing. Okay, so what are the words that I have to choose from? So it is telling me that I have C, H, E, and A are in there. So I'm guessing, say apple, it's not going to be apple, and then it's going to be peach, would be my guess. Okay, so great. That's cool. So so that's the first one, pretty straightforward. And then I did say, I just had a really simple request to say, 5 words. I can kind of get that. There's only 7 words. It's pretty easy to do that. I did think about getting an API, but I thought by far the easiest thing was to just run this second prompt and just say generate 100 more 5-letter real words similar to the list words. There are APIs out there, and you could certainly create your own one if you really want to be clever about it. So like the Wordle of the day, that would be something like the way they do in the New York Times, something like that. So you could just make sure that you just 1 word each day, and everybody who wants to play it can always get the same thing. So if you want to do something like that, I would suggest going and looking at the last talk that we did, because we showed how to set up a REST API, and the REST API was for generating a daily horoscope. So you could do something very similar and just change it so that it would generate a daily Wordle word for Wordle, and then you could just use the same REST API to be able to consume that from your Wordle game. Did look at a couple of Python libraries out there. Nothing pretty good. So again, I think ChatGPT is probably the best way to start this. Second one was Sudoku. So Sudoku is you basically have the numbers from 1 to 9. I didn't realize that this was generated by, the whole presentation was generated by AI. So we have a little bit of a hallucination in there because that's not a Sudoku game. You have 3 by 3 grids. And then you're supposed to have 1 to 9 in there and have multiple 3 grids. So you fill in the empty squares with numbers 1 to 9. Each row, column, and 3 by 3 block must have all the digits. And then you're basically just trying to figure out how to fill it in so that you follow the basic rules that each 3 by 3 grid has to have what it needs. So numbers 1 to 9, 1 per square, fill in the empty squares, complete the rows, columns. Yeah, you got to figure out what it is, no guessing. And I didn't add any difficulty levels, but you could do that too as well. So how did we start that? Okay, so you can see how I'm basically going through trying to get the Wordle to work. Then I just want to know how to play, make sure I had it. And then same again. So I say create a Flask app for Sudoku. It gives me this giant puzzle, which I didn't want to do, but I just asked it to give me a smaller puzzle. Same again, we have our Flask app. So we have a app.py or main.py that you want to run. And then it's going to have a corresponding index.html. So what's going on here? So we set up the board. And then if we want to reset it, we can set it there too as well. And then we want to make sure that it's a valid move. So we're basically checking that it follows the rules, that it's going to, the 3 by 3 grid, it's going to have the numbers 1 to 9 in there. I will say the first time that I ran this, it couldn't really understand the rules itself and didn't work too well. Again, the code for this is online. Let's see if I can get this running. You probably don't need any ChatGPT license for this. You could probably just do this with the free version that's on the website. Good. So let's see if I can get this now. Let's just run this. So this is the, so what are we going to do? 7 here. I think it was, oh yeah, I've got the answer. It's in the slides. Yeah, okay, I'll just do this. Okay, so, obviously pretty simple, but keep yourself busy on a train, I can imagine. And, there is no reason why I generated this one too as well, why you couldn't have something a lot more complicated. So, again, I'm not doing anything with any existing Java libraries. I'm literally just asking ChatGPT to generate it for me. I will tell you that first time that you run it, it's probably not going to work. You're going to get those weird dependency issues. You got to make sure that the logic is working. I had to kick it a few times to get it to work on the larger model. It just refused to work for something that should have been pretty obvious. But if you change the model, so if you're on ChatGPT 3.5, or if you go to the Omni, the O1s, or the 4 O's, you're going to get a much better chance of success. Okay, so then this is my favorite one. So I really like this one. So I teach college in Kettering. I've just finished up. In fact, they have their exam tomorrow, so I wish them all the best of luck. So I'm teaching, an intro to ChatGPT and all the different LLMs and the technologies. And in the last semester when I did this, one of the students did a chess game, which I thought was pretty good. So I borrowed this from the student, although I did have to change a few things. And if you want to play along, it's at this URL. So I'll do a couple of things first. We'll play a video. So this is the game in progress. The version of ChatGPT, this was GPT 3.5. It wasn't really very good. As you can see, it's making some really lame moves. But the new version that I have working, at least it makes logical moves. I wouldn't say it's anybody with even a passing interest in chess would have any problem defeating it, but certainly it's worth playing, and I'll explain why the model that I have works better this time. Okay, so this is up online. I'll leave it up if anybody wants to play with it or anybody has any feedback. So essentially it's, this is what we're doing. So at least it's like, okay, well, that's a good move. That's an obvious move for somebody who's going to start a game. Whereas the other one was, they just seemed to be kind of random. It would know what the right move was, but didn't really do what it was supposed to do. Okay, so this one, like I said, it's a bit more complicated. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what we're doing here. So what do we do with chess? So we have a chessboard. So the chessboard that I'm using is there's a couple of things we're doing. We have a JavaScript chessboard that's existed for a while. So that's the first thing we're using. There's also a library, a Python library called Chess. So all of the hard work is essentially done. So then the only thing that there's a couple other things I need to do, but the main thing I need to do is to figure out, how do I tell ChatGPT what's the state of the board, and how do I tell ChatGPT what are the valid moves? Because we can get the valid moves from the chess library, and then we can get ChatGPT to figure out what it wants to do. So we have a chessboard of movable pieces. We've got a text box to select a rating, although I haven't really played around with this much at all. We got the ChatGPT chess engine, which I'll explain a little bit how we do that. And then, it does the usual things. So it'll do checkmate. You can reset the board if you want to start the game again. And then, if it errors out, you can just restart it and it should be good to go. Okay, so what are the features of my chess engine? So I have this chess library. So this is probably the most successful. The main thing is because I just plugged in ChatGPT to make the moves, because we're using this third-party chess library. So you just install it with pip install chess. And then it used this thing called the FEN format. So the FEN format is the Forsyth-Edwards notation. So a computer programmer basically figured out how to create a notation to be able to tell you where everything is on the board. Excuse me. Okay, I should go back to this again. Okay, so we have a chess library. I'll talk about FEN a little bit. I'll show you what it basically means. We have the JavaScript chessboard. So Chris Oakman has this JavaScript chessboard that he's put out on GitHub for people to use, which is great. We have the FEN format, which is kind of the standard computer science format for representing chess positions. And then we have ChatGPT. So we're using a bit of a weird model for ChatGPT. So we're using the 3.5 turbo instruct model, which is, first of all, 3.5 turbo is an old model. It's been superseded quite a few times. But none of the newer models are any good at chess. So the key word here is instruct. So basically what that means is that humans were involved in the training of this GPT 3.5 model. And I think that was, I'm pretty sure that was the last model that from GPT that there was any human involvement. Ever since then, it's been basically all automated by massive computation on video chips. But this was one where basically the people were giving it thumbs up, thumbs down in large quantities. So somewhere along the line, somebody gave it some thumbs up and thumbs down for chess. So it's way better than the other models. There are a couple of models out on Hugging Face that I'm going to have to take a look at to see if I can get this to go any better. But for the moment, it's basically a, pretty, fifth grade chess level, I would say, is probably the best way to do it. So here's how I'll show you what it looks like under the covers when we run this. So FEN basically in this format, basically anything that's lowercase is black, anything that's uppercase is white. So we have rook, knight, bishop, queen, king, bishop, knight, rook, and then we have all the pawns in front of it. So each row is basically is set up like this. So we have pawn, pawn, pawn for all the pawns. And then if it's got a space, it has a number. So in here we have 8 spaces, followed, which is this bit here. We have 8 spaces for this. And then we have 3 spaces, a pawn, and then 4 spaces afterwards. And then basically it just, we have 8 for the next one. And then we have 1 for there's a pawn missing, because anything that uppercase is white. And then there's other stuff in there to say that you can still castle. And then that's the en passant spot. And then there's only been 1 actual move. So what we do is we have the fen, we pass that into the chess library, and that gives us here are all the available moves that black can make. So we pass that to ChatGPT, and that ChatGPT says G8 H6, which is the black knight to rook 6. So it was over here when I played it rather than coming over to this side. And then we have a new fen, which is the new state of the board, which is like this. And in this case, we had 1 half move and 2 full moves. So let me show you what the code looks like. Again, this code's up online, so if you want to play with it, you're more than welcome to. And all the code is in the resources. Let's do this over here. Okay, so you'll probably see, so first of all, it's very similar to what we had before. So it is a Flask app, so it's app.py. We have a config, which is where my API key is, because this one actually uses OpenAI as part of it. We have an index to HTML, which is really simple. So it's importing the Chris Oakman's JavaScript chessboard, which is in this static folder here. And then you can change whatever the rating is. And then we're just basically setting up whatever the scripts are for our front end. In here, we have the different routes. So the main route is just index. So it's just going to be the first one. And then we have a route for moving. So moving, what it's going to do is it's going to process the move and then retry the move if there's an error or whatever else. So we have this process move function. So it's going to get whatever the data is. It's going to return whatever the fen is. It's going to print what the fen is, well, we don't really care about the rating. And it's going to do the GPT move. So which is going to be up here, so here is my get GPT move. I have a prompt, which is you are playing chess at a skill level of whatever the rating is. We give it the board. These are the legal moves you can choose from. Please provide your next move in UCI format, which is the G8 H6 thing, and then make a similar move. This is the earlier version that we don't need anymore. That was using the GPT-4 Turbo. Didn't work at all. So I did see something on Reddit saying that if you use Instruct, it would work much better. It doesn't work great, but certainly if you were learning how to play chess, it would certainly be a good way of getting going. But anybody who's got a rating, this is tragically bad. But if you're just playing around, it's not bad to start off with. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, so let me just do a couple of moves. Let me show you what the thing is back here. So you can see if I can get this moved. So basically what it's doing is the chess library is saying, here's what the fen is. We're passing it in, you're playing a skill 1200. Give me your first move. So the turn is black. Here's the legal moves, and here's the one that I want to make you to move, that you should move. So it does that for you. I'll do something like this. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good move, but okay. So you get the general idea. Basically, that's what it's working. It just goes through the different choices. There is like one of the things that we were studying over the last few months was creating your own LLM from scratch. And I think there may be this would be a good use case that basically you could train your own LLM from scratch to understand how to do chess games. You know, there's centuries and centuries of all this stuff for chess. So maybe this would be a really good use case for that. Mostly they've been used for financial medical stuff, but it'd be cool to do one for chess. Okay, so the last one I want to do is the Scrabble game. I haven't got as far as I would like with this, basically for the same reason that, for the reason that unfortunately there isn't a Scrabble version of the chess library, and I haven't been able to find a very good version of the JavaScript chess keyboards that we had before. Ultimately, what I want to do is I basically want to get to this. Let me switch to English. So I want to be able to replicate something like this. I'm getting the bits moving, but I haven't been able to get the board. So I'll probably just copy this over the next, whatever, couple of weeks over Christmas, over the holidays, to get this working so it's similar to this. Okay, so what are we doing? We are doing Scrabble. As I get older, I'm getting worse at Scrabble, so I would really like to have more practice at it. Don't want to bore the kids, so what better way than to be able to play against ChatGPT and see if it can do better than what it's doing with the chess. It's probably going to do much better than it's doing with chess because ChatGPT is all about words, so I'm guessing it's going to be better. What do we have? So we have a 2-player competition, classic word game for 2 players. Strategic letter placement. I haven't got that yet. We need to get the points. I need to get the points working, and also the bonus squares. But I do have the AI powered word suggestions, which is kind of the first one. So I'm going to start with 7 letters. Each letter is a value. Put words on the board. Board as double, triple value squares, and they can place horizontal and vertical. And then we want to generate the possible words using ChatGPT. So basically, the way that I have it working now is if I get these combination of letters, it's going to give me birth, Bridge, etc., etc. So I can see which one it's going to be. I can put on the board, and then essentially what I need to be able to do is to tell it how to score this. So that's going to be the next thing. So I can get to something more similar to this. How did I do that? I'm using Canvas again, but basically what I said is generate a Scrabble game in Flask with UI and started going from there. It gives me the app first, the app.py, so same as what we did with Wordle and with Sudoku. Give me the Scrabble HTML, so it's going to give me that next. So it gives me the HTML. I asked it to set up a board. Kind of didn't really get too good. Also got some Python stuff going on, so it changed around for me that as well. And then I wanted to write a function called get possible words, so it would talk to OpenAI to do that. Word of warning, as I've said a few times, if you've been listening to some of these, when you ask ChatGPT to generate OpenAI API code, it uses the old API, which is, so you have to change it yourself, which if you're not used to that, just follow the code samples that are in the repos that I'm delivering this evening. So let me show you what the code looks like for this. It's got to find the right thing first, the right directory. Okay. Okay, let's just go straight to, no. So the main thing we're going to do is we're just going to look at this. So when you ask it to do the code, it's basically going to come with OpenAI completions with a capital C .create. So you have to change that. So the format kind of, this bit changed dramatically from the 0.9 version of OpenAI API to the 1.x. I think we're on 1.55 now. But it's been the same since the version 1.0. So when you ask GPT to generate the code, it's not going to get a few. So you got to make sure that you change it into the new format. Engine is now model. Messages has now got a whole different thing. So you say system, you were a Scrabble player, given a series of letters, come up with some words to play, and then we pass in the letters that we get from the Scrabble side. And then we pass those back, and we're able to put them onto the board. Okay. So I gave it a picture of a Scrabble board and said, please duplicate this. Actually, let me show you where that was. So as we go down, as I'm working through, get possible words was working, and then it wasn't talking to the HTML properly, so I got it to fix that. It said, make the Scrabble board look like the same colors as the attached Scrabble board. Doesn't seem to like that, but I think the main thing that you have to do is that you have to make sure that you are that you're using some sort of a JavaScript engine to get there. And of course, this seems to be all over the site. So let me see what, hopefully if I do get possible words, it'll return the words. Okay, so now I know that I have show, how, hop, shop, POW, and POWH, which probably wouldn't be accepted by anybody. So let's just do show to start off with. Okay, so, and then with player 2, I can do the same thing again. And then I'm going to get the possible words, and pretty bad thing here. So there's a lot of features I need to add. So the most obvious one is I need to be able to take more letters from my bag. I need to have more scoring put in here. I need to have the board so that it has the right structure and the right thing. So if you land on red, you get double for a word. If you land on blue, it's double for the letter, that kind of thing. I don't have any of the points in here yet, so I have to have a points tally, so that'll be the next thing to do. So this is kind of a work in progress. And also you get this weird stuff at the end where for whatever reason ChatGPT just adds stuff that you thinks you might want, so you just have to tell it to not do that. So there's still a handful of features that I need to add here. Okay, but that's really all I have so far in the game. So let me go back to where we were, because I wanted to show. Oh yeah, and then another thing that happened here when I was doing it today is when I thought I'd use ChatGPT 3.5 in this because it's so much cheaper. Like it's cents to use now. It's ridiculously cheap. But it was hallucinating on the words that I could have, so I had to up it to ChatGPT for Omni, and then that for Omni Mini worked really well too as well. Okay, so resources. So here are the resources that we have. So they're all up on my repos: Wordle, Sudoku, Chess, Scrabble. This is if you want to play around with the chess engine. So that's, if anybody wants to play with it. If anybody has any feedback or they want me to change it, I'd be happy to change it. If anybody knows of a better chess engine that I could use, I want to go on Hugging Face and see if I can find anything over the holidays to see if I can find somebody who's trained it on, like I said, all the centuries of the chess moves that have been out there. And then Jason Lux is the guy that's his LinkedIn profile. So if anybody needs an intern for this stuff, he's a really good guy to look up. And then Chessboard.js is the JavaScript chessboard. And then FenChess is just basically defining how what Fen means, and the whole, background of how the board is set up for using this thing. So so that's the sequence when we start the board, because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 spaces. Black is this, and then white is this. Okay, and really with that, that's basically all I have for this evening. I am working on a Monopoly board too as well, which I will share in the not too distant future. Let me stop sharing. Just, does anybody have any questions, or anybody got any board games that they want me to look at? I know one of my friends wanted me to look at Las Vegas, so I'm going to take a look at that too as well over the holidays, something to play with. Nope.
Oh, hold on, John here.
Okay, John, how are you?
Good, you?
Pretty good.
Yeah, no, I was thinking it would be nice maybe to have a chess game where the board is bigger and you're introducing brand new pieces that move in different ways.
Wow.
That could be an idea.
Wow, that's thinking outside the box there.
Yeah, I think there was like an old world champion, maybe Capablanca. I think it was him or some other guy from a long time ago. They had that idea because they thought that chess theory, like the openings, chess was getting too, I guess, solved, too many draws, so they wanted to change things up. You know,
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, Gabby, I think that's pretty good idea. There's a game engine in Python called Pygame, which will do stuff like that. So I think there's scope for doing much more like first person shooters in this. Because there's a wrapper that you can use for Pygame now that will show it's mostly for desktop applications, but it will work on the web now, I believe. So yeah, that's not a bad idea. And then yeah, I'm just looking at the chat. I agree, John. NG4 is a terrible move for black, isn't it? But there's I gotta believe there's a better engine out there. I just haven't found it yet. Recently, John said, I recently wrote a Wordle game in C++ for class, and I found the case for yellow letters to be quite complicated. I wonder if your program accounts for this. Looking forward to trying it out. Yeah, John, take a look at the code and tell me what you think. And if
Godot is open source game engine.
Say it again.
Godot is an open source game engine.
Oh, I could try that too as well. No, Pygame will do VR stuff now. It seems to have really moved on. So yeah, so there's I don't know. There's just so much scope for this stuff, but really, what I want to do is my goal is is the Scrabble and the Monopoly. So that's the ones I'm after. I'm not really into the other stuff. Yeah, Anthony, feel free to hit me up anytime. Happy to talk about any of this stuff. I've gone through 3 semesters now, so I have a ton of stuff that basically my job is to automate myself out of a job. That's what I'm doing with all this ChatGPT stuff. So during the day, I'm trying to take all the boring jobs. Casablanca chess. Cool. Oh, Capablanca. Okay, so yeah, lots to chew on here. Where do I teach? I teach in Kettering, and I was teaching in Lawrence Tech, but both of them have kind of finished up now. I'm an adjunct professor, so I got to wait to see if I get any courses, in next year. But it all depends on what enrollment's like for all these places. But I've been teaching for about 10 years now. And mostly I teach Android development and iOS development. I did a blockchain class, and I did class. This is the 3rd time I've done the intro to LLM, which is, gotta tell you, it's great. I will post some of the books that we're using. I think you guys are probably interested because we've been through a lot of books. So I'll do that tomorrow as well, just as a good place to start if you're trying to bone up on this stuff over the holidays. All right. Well, I didn't want to stay too long because I think it was way over the hour last time. So thanks for joining. Your comments have been great. Truly appreciate it. And I hope you learned something, and talk to you next month.
And subscribe to the newsletter.
And there's subscribe to the newsletter. There you go. Yeah, hold on a second, Mike, will you?
Yeah, no problem.
You're done.
All right, I'm gonna cut the scene.